How are you? We are solving systems of linear inequations. So we have an example on the board with the XY plane on the right hand side that we are going to use. Write down 4 inequalities which define the unshaded region R on the XY plane beside. So this is the XY plane that we are going to use. So on the XY plane, there's a region inside this these boundaries. So you can see their boundaries AD, CD, BC, and BE. So these are the boundaries that we are going to, whose inequalities we are going to come up with. Okay, so solutions. Let's come up with the inequalities. Okay, the first inequality for BC. So we have BC. So you can see, as you can see, BC is along the y-axis. BC is along the y-axis. So the equation that we are going to get there is x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. As you know, the y-axis is also called the line x is equal to 0. So since BC is along the y-axis, the equation is x is equal to 0. So it's a matter of us now converting this equation into the inequality that is defining the region on the right hand side here, because this is the region of interest. Now, when you follow the y-axis, when you follow this line here along the x-axis here, you can see that these numbers on the left of the y-axis are smaller than the numbers on the right of the y-axis, which tells us that the numbers along the x-axis here, which are on the right of the y-axis are greater than these numbers which are here. These numbers which are on the left of the y-axis are smaller. These numbers on the right of the y-axis along the x-axis are greater. And that is where our region of interest lies. So actually, the first inequality will be the inequality that we shall substitute here, which will be, it will be greater than or less or equal to, because this line is odd. So our inequality that we are going to put here, as we convert this equation into the inequality, will be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, because this line is odd. So as you can see, the line which are points which are on the right hand side are always greater than these which are on the left hand side. So we can safely say greater than or equal to. Okay, so moving on to the next inequality for CD. So we have CD, the equation for CD is y is equal to 3. As you can see, this line is parallel to the x-axis. So when a line is parallel to the x-axis, this equation is in the form y is equal to where it is meeting the y-axis. So you can see it is meeting the y-axis at 3. So this is the equation y is equal to 3. Y is equal to 3. This line is parallel to the x-axis. You can see the y values are equal to show us that this line is parallel to the x-axis. So this is the line y is equal to 3. Now, our region of interest is down here. So when you look at the values of these, the y values along the y-axis, these ones which are down here are smaller than these ones which are up here along the y-axis. Our region of interest is below here, which are where the values of y are smaller. So this is actually the inequality that should be here should be less than or equal to. So we have chosen between this one and this one. We have chosen less than or equal to, because actually our points here, our wanted region is below here, not up there. Okay, so that's it. The next inequality is for BE. BE, we have BE. This line for BE. So for BE, the equation for BE is y is equal to minus x plus 2. You can see the y-intercept is 2, the gradient is negative 1, so that's why the equation is like this. So the inequality would be y dash negative x plus 2. Y dash negative x plus 2. So So we need to put here either greater than or less than. Either greater than or less than, because actually this line is broken. So now, what will help us choose between these two is our wanted region is this side here. Our wanted region is this side here. So we can actually look for a point which is in our wanted region. We can look for a point which is anywhere here, And for me, I'll pick on a point which is here. For example, this 0.3 is in the wanted region. So 0.3. You can see the points are in the form x, y. So this coordinate, I'll fix it in the equation, so that we have y. So that we have where we have y, we'll put 3. So we have 3 is equal to negative x plus 2. So that we have 3 is equal to 2, which is not making sense. But our point of reference 0.3 is in the wanted region. It is in the wanted region this side. So we now need to make this one make sense, because actually this is where our wanted region is. So the only sign here that would make this one correct is greater than. Because actually 3 is greater than 2. So actually here we are supposed to have greater than. We are supposed to have greater than here. Okay, so that is that for that particular question. Now, the last inequality, talking about AD. You can see this is both, so we are going to have either less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So AD, the gradient of AD is 1, the y-intercept for AD is negative 1, so the equation is y is equal to x minus 1. So, where we have the equal sign, we simply put the inequality sign here that will help us come up with the last inequality. So, choosing between this one or this one, we need to choose a point of reference here. So, the line is AD, this one, you have seen AD. So our region of interest is here, this side here. This is our region of interest. This side here, where the origin is 0.0, where it is. So for my point of reference, I'll pick on 0.0. So 0.0 in the form x, y. Then I'll substitute in the equation here, so that I'll have 0 is equal to 0 minus 1. So this. Now this is not making sense, so I'll put an inequality here which will make sense, because this point of reference 0.0 is in the wanted region, so it should make sense. So the sign that I could use that could make this one correct is 0 is greater than negative 1. So we have 0 greater or equal to negative 1. So actually, for our inequality here, we should have greater than or equal to. So finally, we have all the 4 inequalities. We have x is greater or equal to 0, y is less or equal to 3, then we have y is greater than negative x plus 2, and finally we have y is greater or equal to x minus 1. So these are the 4 inequalities